So your body is an information processing system that has the capacity to process information, to receive signals, even at a very minute level that is not open to your conscious mind, and then process that information and give you feedback. And so your subconscious mind has the capacity to take on all of this information and process them and deliver results at a very high speed. And those information don't come to you as a clear picture. It comes in form of feeling, because that is how the subconscious mind speaks. Hi, thank you so much for joining me in this edition of Clear Thinking Digest. My name is Ugo. So let's talk about intuition. Intelligence operates in two different ways, in two broad ways. There is an individual intelligence that comes from the experiences that human beings have acquired, that a human being has acquired over time. The experiences comes from right from ancestral memories that has been encoded into your DNA, into the genes, into the fabric of your genes. And so when you're born, there is a download of memories that you get from the genes that have been transferred from your forefathers to your parents and then to you. There's a certain amount of information about the earth that you live in and about your immediate environment that you exist in that is stored in that your DNA. That is what has enabled you, your nature to be shaped, and it is from there the interaction of the information in your gene and then with your immediate environment that you get the phenotype that produces your traits, physical features. But at the same time, it also produces hidden traits that are within you that determine your talent, that determine your natural predispositions and inclinations, and that equally determine some of the internal information that you get when you walk out in the streets. A practical example of this: when a child is born, your child automatically knows the mother's breast and would seek to go there and suckle it. He actually knows how to suckle the mother's breast. That's an intuitive intelligence that is within. Every human being, to a large extent, the majority of human beings, when they step into the world, when they see reptiles, snake especially, they get afraid. They get the fidgets. True or false? True. Why are they afraid of snakes at the first sight? Why are they afraid of insects and some of these creepy creatures? It is because there is some kind of intuitive intelligence, intuitive memory, some kind of information that has been stored, encoded in the DNA, that has been passed down from generations to the time this new species or new child is born. Now, as you begin to grow up and you continue to encounter your environment, you continue to store your own fair share of information into your DNA. It starts from your interactions with your immediate environment, and then you store information in your memory, and then you also equally store information in your nervous system, which gets encoded into your DNA. This information equally mesh with the existing information that is in your gene already and gets passed down to the next generation. So this is the first kind of intelligence that exists. It runs in the DNA from individuals to individual. But the second kind of intelligence that exists, and that is a more like a collective intelligence, a corporate intelligence. And this intelligence exists as a way of consciousness of a society, of a community, of a people. This intelligence, some people have called it the Akashic records. The Akashic record is some kind of a consciousness, a frequency of consciousness that exists in the world that makes ideas pop into your head at a certain time. A practical example is that as you continue to evolve in your experience, as you continue to evolve in your growth, in your knowledge, as you continue to study, if you exist in a particular environment, there are certain kind of ideas that pop into your head. If you're in the United States and not in Nigeria, there's a second kind of ideas that will pop into your head courtesy of the interactions that you're having with other human beings in that area. If you live in Ireland, there's a certain kind of information that pops into your head courtesy of your interaction with people over there. If you exist in Africa, there's a certain kind of information equally that does that. Now, what this tells us is that your environment and the mental consciousness and the frequency of the information going on in the collective consciousness influences the kind of ideas that come to your mind. So if you study and you have experience of a certain level, let's say an amateur, the kind of ideas that pop into your head comes at that level that you exist in. But if you increase your study, if your experience increases, if your study increases, the kind of ideas and the kind of people you mingle with also, the quality of people that you mingle with also improve. The kind of ideas that pop into your head are equally different. As a matter of fact, when people communicate with you, when people share information with you, the kind of ideas that you get and the kind of knowledge and the understanding that you get from that information, from that interaction, equally starts at a higher notch other than when you are still immature. There's a kind of information that you had when you were in primary school, when you were still a teenager, that if the same information gets communicated to you, or if you go through the same information, whether it's in a book or in a movie or as a story, if you go through that same information, the kind of insight you get is quite different. True or false? It is true. Now, what that goes to show you is that there's a kind of mental consciousness, a consciousness of information, a collective consciousness of information that is operative within an environment that people exist in, that allows people, individuals, to tap into this kind of information. And from there, novel ideas come. From there, people get intuitive information that they can operate in. Now, what is intuitive intelligence? Intuitive intelligence comes in two ways. It is a mesh, some kind of sophisticated mesh of the intelligence that has been running in your gene, the individual intelligence, and the ones that you've acquired as a result of experience, and the information that is operating in the collective consciousness of the environments that you exist in. Now, I'm not here talking about strictly about physical environments. With the nascence, with the birth of the digital age, you can be in conversation with people who are far off your shores, outside of your shores, and you can tap into the intelligence of those people, the collective consciousness of those people, courtesy of the fact that you are in constant interaction with them. Now, this wealth of information that operates on the individual level and on the collective level, on the genetic level, on the ancestral level, and equally on the collective level or on the environmental level, come together to give you a highly, what I would call a sophisticated kind of insight into the nature of things, the way nature operates, such that when you encounter some problems, you get a flash of ideas, you get a flash of so your subconscious mind takes a mesh, like takes on this information, takes on these billions of information, billions of data, and combines them in a split second to produce a kind of information, the kind of idea, a kind of insight that your conscious mind don't have access to. And this is why I tell people, your mind to a large extent knows everything, has access to the wealth of the information of the world. And this is not just because of your own making as an individual. This is not just because of the share of your intelligence as an individual. This comes as a result of the capacity of your mind and your brain. It comes from you borrowing or leveraging collective intelligence, ancestral memory, and environmental intelligence and environmental information. So you have the capacity to tap into both ends of information, and your subconscious mind, which processes information billions faster than the conscious mind, can take in both information and curate from it an insight that is powerful, that can allow you to access a lot of things. So that's why I tell people that your mind almost knows everything that it seeks to know. And that is equally the reason why I say that nobody has any reason to be unsuccessful. Because for the very fact that you're a human being and that you have access to this information, even if you don't study books and you observe your environments consciously, keenly, closely, it will get to the point that your mind has the capacity to deduce hidden facts, hidden truths in nature that will allow you to decode wealth, to decode your environment, to decode nature and create abundance of resources. So intuitive intelligence is what comes from the mesh of this ancestral memory and collective memory, environmental memory, plus the experience that you're acquiring. So that is why you will step into a room and all of a sudden you have that feeling that there is something queasy, something wrong inside this environment. And immediately you step out, the house collapses. Or you find like there's a big reptile, like a big snake in that environment. What actually happens is that the ability for you to detect that comes from a wealth of all of these experiences. The environment that you exist is constantly sending out signals. The snake in itself that you're afraid of has its own wavelength, its own frequency that it passes across, that it generates. A house that is weak, that is about to collapse, sends out vibrational signals, vibrational energy wavelengths that your body at a minute level, not open to your conscious mind, has the capacity to detect even without your conscious mind being aware of it. And so when it detects these signals that are coming out at a very minute level, your subconscious mind can interpret that. So your body is receiving signals every time. Your body is your body is a mass of information that is processing information always. That is why I define intelligence as the ability to interpret the environment accurately and fast. So your body is an information processing system that has the capacity to process information, to receive signals, even at a very minute level that is not open to your conscious mind, and then process that information and give you feedback. And so your subconscious mind has the capacity to take on all of this information and process them and deliver results at a very high speed. And those information don't come to you as a clear picture. It comes in form of feeling, because that is how the subconscious mind speaks. The subconscious mind communicates the final output of its processing in form of feeling, in form of emotions. So that is when you feel there is something wrong, you should actually pay attention to that feeling. Because the information that your subconscious mind has processed is so huge in the amount of the data that your conscious mind cannot comprehend the full quanta of information. It cannot comprehend the whole information and compress it in an understandable formula that will make sense to you. So that's why it gives it off as a kind of feeling. And so if you pay heed to that feeling, you pay heed to a huge amount of information that your subconscious mind is passing across. So it's important that we understand how this intuitive intelligence comes about, how it comes across. I had a story of a guy that works in the fire service. That's the fire service department, and he has been in that job for years. On one occasion, they went for work to put out fire in an apartment, and the apartment happens to be an upstairs. And so when they went into the first floor, they were putting out lights. All of a sudden, the guy noticed that there was some kind of a deafening silence in the environment, and that kind of silence, according to him, was strange. He didn't know how to interpret that kind of silence, but he just called the silence as strange. That the silence was so deafening and strange that he had not witnessed anything quite like that. And immediately he felt that he didn't even know when he said it out, when he spoke out and he told his colleagues, "Let's get out of here. Guys, let's move out." And they were like, hello boys, we're supposed to put out this fire. We are not, we have to find out. He said, "Let's get out." And immediately they stepped out, the whole building collapsed. It happened that because of the information, the signals that was coming to him, According to him, he didn't even know why he said that, but he felt within his body that something was wrong. The energy frequency that the environment was setting out, because of the experience he has acquired over the years, his subconscious mind could process that information at a very high speed, and he could and it can only communicate that information as a kind of feeling to him, not as his conscious mind. Because if information comes to your conscious mind, what will happen is that you start rationalizing over it, and you don't have the time to rationalize over it, because the species that actually survive and pass on their genes are the species that have the capacity to process information at very high speed rates. That's the huge characteristics of intelligence, the ability to interpret the environment and to do it very fast. So, and the conscious mind is very slow in processing information. So you don't want to use it, especially when there is a life-threatening issue around the corner. So paying attention to your intuitive intelligence and learning how to harness your intuitive intelligence come primarily from understanding how your subconscious mind works, understanding how your mind works. And this goes back to the saying, the oldest advice in the book, man, know thyself. If you understand how your mind operates, if you understand how to practice metacognition, you can learn how to listen to your body. You can learn how to trust in your nature. In my book, the first rule talks about knowing thyself, and the last rule talks about understanding and trusting in your nature. So you have to learn how to first understand yourself, understand how your body functions, so that when you're getting signals that are uncanny, that are strange, signals that you don't understand, you would learn how to process such kind of information. You have to understand yourself, understand how your body works, so that you can take on this information, process them, and know how to apply them. Then finally, you have to learn how to trust in your nature. You have to learn how to trust your intuition, and it takes courage to do that, because sometimes, majority of us, we don't trust our nature. When we get intuition, when we get that kind of feeling, we don't even understand what the feeling is all about. Talk more of trusting ourselves. So we want to verify, we want to check out on Google. It's good for you to research, it's good for you to check out these things, but trusting in your nature actually comes from understanding your nature. So you have to first of all obey the first rule of understanding your nature, understanding your body, so that you can effectively go ahead and trust in your nature. So thank you so much. That's my message for you today. I'll see you again some other time.